here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain. I would like to extend a thank you to my patrons over at patreon.com/BSMpod. Today, we have Mr.SuiSui all the way from Japan, who is also part of all the Melee and Smash-related events that happened over there, including helping out with the Smash World Tour. I want to say East Asia. Am I saying that right?
Asia.
The East Asia Regional Finals, which happened a little while ago here. Mr. SuiSui, thank you so much for joining me.
It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
I really love the opportunity that when I talked to somebody like Ekins, who connected the two of us together, he was on the podcast a little while ago and had, just say hi to each other every now and again. Ekins listens to the podcast as well, which I appreciate. So shout outs to Ekins. But
yeah,
at some point messages me and says the Smash World Tour East Asia Regional Finals are coming up. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to be really fun. That'll be cool. It is admittedly somewhat difficult to wake up and watch Melee, or am I getting that wrong? But it's really cool that the Smash World Tour kind of is unifying not just Europe and North America, which a lot of people think about for Melee. There's also South America, Central America, East Asia, and so on. It's really cool. And getting to talk to somebody who was involved with helping it go is even more cool. So I want to definitely talk about the Smash World Tour, but I'm tempted to bury the lead because I want to talk to you about your origin story. What would you like to tackle first?
we can go with the Smash World Tour. That's the hot topic. So
let's not bury the lead. Okay.
That. I mean, it just happened. So yeah, let's go with that.
So tell me how that starts. So you're now doing your thing. You're doing Smash events. You like to play? Do you TO exclusively? What's your relationship to the game right now?
Right now, so like technically there's no locals or any tournaments going on right now in Japan. Like in the corona cases in Japan are actually very low. It's like extremely low actually, but we still haven't started locals yet. So like the big TOs like Watch, you guys might know. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He does some ultimate tournaments, but he hasn't done like Melee locals in a while now. And then but until that, I've been playing. I've been a player mostly. And then every time we do like an English stream on like BGBC or whatever, I would help commentary. So that's like kind of what I also made the 2019 ranking actually for Japan scene, but that's mostly player, and like I would say like 80% player and like 20% like helping out and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it sounds like you just have your hand in a bunch of different things. And so we'll get to how you just go from minding your own business to all of a sudden just being super heavy involved. But when the Smash World Tour got announced again for this year, because there was a, you could say a soft launch in 2020 before things kind of went by the wayside, but it was really exciting to hear that they were going to do it again for this year. Cautiously excited. I think that there was like a mixed reaction at first when people were like, well, how are we supposed to have safe events? And Reptide hadn't even happened at this point, and they were talking about bringing Smash World Tour back for 2021. And so is it at that point that you start getting rumblings from everybody like watching the VGBC, the rest of the VGBC people saying, okay, so we're going to start to gear up for this? Or was it later in the summer or this fall when you started to first get this ball rolling?
For me, I got messaged like two weeks before the event actually, like maybe
what? No way.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So Watch messaged me like, Watch messaged me like, oh, do you want to help out as a staff? Like we can pay you a little bit, but do you want to help out as a staff? Like kind of like help set up and like call players and stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, of course I'll do that. But then, so I was talking to like some of the other guys that also got invited, like so Ekins and like also another guy called Jeremy. We're like, I wonder who's gonna do commentaries, like, cause we're in Japan, like American time it's late. So I was like, I wonder who's gonna do commentary. So I messaged Watch, like 5 days or like a week before the event, saying like, yo, are we doing commentary? Like, who's doing commentary? And then, so he says initially that like some. No, American guys are gonna do the commentary, so you guys are just gonna be like helping up with setup. But then like 2 days or 3 days before the event, we get a message saying like, "Oh no, actually, we need you to do commentary."
Let's go.
So, oh yeah, that's how I did commentary, I guess. Very last minute, I feel.
Oh no, how am I supposed to study all the best Japanese players that are going to be at this event? But you know of or have talked to, played against most of them, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like the last minute pressure is because specifically of having to study or anything. Like, what did you feel nervous about going into commentating?
Yeah, so before I say kind of like what I was nervous about, I'll just kind of uh like talk about what you just said. But like I basically know a lot of all the players. A few guys they came in during Corona, so I didn't really know them too well. But yeah, I knew, and I'm like friends with most of the guys that were there. But yeah, I was most nervous about actually like on the day they were giving us like kind of a script. They gave us on the day like a script saying like, okay, when this screen
Oh.
comes up, you have to read this for advertisement. Okay, we're like, okay, and then they were like, okay, here's a bunch of rules that you need to follow during commentary, and
Oh.
they gave that to us like 30 minutes before it started. So we're like, okay, how are we gonna follow that? Like, yeah, I was more afraid of the advertisement stuff because like kind of rules, there's like common rules like you shouldn't swear too much. Like those kind of stuff is like already in my brain, but kind of like advertisement stuff, like I've never really done that, so that was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit nervous about that, I guess.
Well, what about your YouTube channel? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you're not invited on a podcast every day. You're not like at the yard level yet. I'm referring to Ludwig and the rest of the yard boys. But what about the times where you get to talk about your YouTube channel? Do you ever feel like you're in advertisement mode, or is it just more like it's my project, it's what I'm doing, I like doing it. This feels natural to me.
Uh, like if I'm talking about my YouTube channel, I mean it's my control. So like there's no like restrictions of like what I should say about it or what
Yeah.
I shouldn't say about it. So it's all good. I mean like yeah, there's no pressure there to be honest. And
Okay,
then
I like hearing that.
yeah, yeah, and it's also like it's a full Japanese channel. So I'm not like expecting a lot of people to come watch it from like an English stream in a way. So there's like not too much pressure there as well, I guess. But yeah, no pressure there.
Yeah, sometimes I'm still trying very hard to get used to talking about my Patreon at the top of every episode because I know that's where the most people are watching at the very beginning. So I have to do it there, but it feels so weird to do it anyway for me. It does not feel natural yet. I was curious how you felt
Yeah,
about it. So you were a little bit nervous about reading advertisements and just making sure that all the rules that were thrown in your face at the very last second you were going to be able to
yeah,
kind of do right by, because it sounds like you want to take it fairly seriously. Like, I know that you're also supposed to somehow simultaneously sound loose, sound excited, sound inviting to everybody watching on the stream, and make it all just like go. Let's put it all on Mr.SuiSui to make it all happen. So
yeah.
when you actually sit down, you start commentating. Were you commentating with somebody? I'm assuming how'd that start when you actually first sat down?
Oh yeah, so we had like 3 or 4 commentators that kind of rotated throughout the day. And so I think I started off with I think this guy called Jeremy,
Let's
Marth
go,
player.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I think some of you guys maybe know him from he used to be in the States, so maybe you guys know him. But yeah, I was in commentary with him. I also rotated with Ekans, who you had on
Oh
before.
yes, that's awesome. We
Yeah,
got
so
Atkins on
I did some
commentary too.
yeah, I did some commentary with him. And yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I don't really get too nervous about like being loud anymore because for me that's like the easy part. But I guess it's because I do YouTube all the time now. But
Yeah, you're used to speaking
yeah,
to an audience that is not necessarily in front of you, but you've gotten used to it. Yeah, that sounds cool.
yeah.
That sounds cool.
I guess the only thing I was like a little bit worried about was like I haven't because my YouTube channel's in Japanese. Like I haven't done like loud like exciting commentary in English for a while.
Oh
So
yes, that is a difference.
yeah. So I guess that's the only thing. But yeah, besides that, yeah, not too much.
And then you're also, I mean, you had a hand in helping to seed the bracket or like sort of the pools and all that kind of stuff, or were you just specifically towards the end there, just focused on trained on commentary?
Yeah, it was just commentary. Like I didn't even. So I got the players like who are participating like as you said as I mentioned before like a week and a half 2 weeks before the event actually, and there were like a few changes in the end. I actually tried to get another player instead of like so there were a few replacements that we had last minute replacements that we
Oh,
had to do.
really?
Yeah, and then Watch forgot like this really good Falcon player called
Wait,
Bap.
Wait, no, you just straight up forgot somebody? Oh, I feel so
Yeah, I was
sorry
like,
for that Falcon player.
I, yeah. I sent him a clip of so there's this like number two Fox Falco player Sana on his stream. He was saying like, so it's the guy's name's Bap. He was like, Bap is the best Falcon player. So I watched a clip of him saying that, kind of to trying to convince him to use him as a replacement instead of someone else. But
Oh yeah,
he said it
getting
was too late to make any changes. So my efforts were it didn't go too well there.
I just forget like so living in North America, I obviously have quite the amount of melee privileges here. I mean, we have the melee stats Discord. They try so hard to pay attention to everything that's going on, but of course, naturally, everything that's happening in North America is the easiest, the most eye grabbing stuff that's going on. I mean, they will go back and forth. And this is I'm trying to be positive here. I love the Melee Stats Discord. They will go back and forth about like friendlies that are being played between Zane and Moki or IBTW to Saint. Like they'll just go on and on and on. But meanwhile, players in Japan, not always on stream. I mean, if it's on stream, that's really cool. But even then, it is a challenge because of the time zone. That's first and foremost. But there's also just that fact that it's in a different continent. You're not quite as familiar with those players and so on and so on. I really love how Toph tries as hard as he can to highlight the Japanese scene. I remember around the time, it was around the spring where it was Shunsuke versus AMSA at one of the Gallant Melee Open events where they were playing, I believe, in the same setup in person. It was just being broadcasted back to here in the United States, like playing first to seven, I think. It was
Oh,
super
oh yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, that Shunsuke won like in the last game. It was
yeah,
wild. It was wild. But
yeah,
and then invite Amsa onto the stream. Like Toph will invite Amsa on the stream. Toph lived in Japan for a little while, so like you'll hear a little bit there, but it doesn't happen as often that you hear about players. And so that I didn't think that it was possible for somebody to get like not forgotten, but just oh wait, we should have probably considered having this player come to the regional finals. And it's so hard without having tournaments to actually look at that happened recently, right? Because like you were saying, there hasn't been any sort of locals or big tournaments happening for Melee in Japan ever since the pandemic started. Am I understanding you correctly?
yeah. So yeah, I think like literally the last tournament we had was like 2020 January, and besides that we didn't have any tournaments. And my guess is that Watch was, I think he was probably really busy too because he's messaging me like 2 weeks before the event. So like there's a lot of last minute decisions. He might forget a player here and there, but he did message me like saying like, yeah, he tried to invite players like Zoma. If you guys know, he used to be like a really good Mewtwo player. And they also tried to invite this another player called like Donkos, who's a really good Falco player. But then they had to cancel. So like a lot of last minute things happen, and I guess yeah, and combined with the fact there's no tournaments, some players he was just too busy. He couldn't remember everyone, I guess.
That's really tough because it sounds like there's between the fact that there's not like it's not like because you've been to a bunch of tournaments who's a regular attendee who's like placing top 8 in those events. And one thing that's been talked about a lot is how Watch has been on an interview talking about how this is kind of a thing in Japan, and I think Amsa has talked about this a little bit, and then Toph as well on his stream about how Japan looks at Slippy differently than the rest of the world does in terms of its viability and sort of like the respect factor to the publisher of saying you don't want to modify or mess around with something that has been made by like a different by the original publisher, not to mess around with it. Like mods are not viewed the same way in Japan as certainly in North America. You want to talk a little bit about like what your perspective of that is?
Yeah, I kind of disagreed to an extent where I remember Amsa made like a tweet about it. I can't remember, but he was saying like he doesn't really want to play Slippy on stream, and he mentioned that it's not because Nintendo said that he shouldn't. It's because he just feels like the public in like out. I feel like he said the public would he would get negative kind of comments from the public, but by public I feel like he means like from outside the Melee community. I feel like there is it's actually it's very weird because like a lot of like modifications for like Pokemon games are chill. Like there's a lot of
Wait,
like people
what?
making like modded Pokemon games and they don't
Pokemon.
care at all. Yeah, like there's always like a bunch of modded Pokemon games, right? Like in America too, but like in Japan, there's a lot of people playing it, but like no one. I feel like there's not many too many like negative comments there, but if AMSA feels like there would be negative comments towards Smash. I guess it's like a different perspective between like Smash and other games, and I kind of see that where like I remember when so when like free melee was hashtag free melee was like popular in America, it actually trended in Japanese Twitter as well. So then I made a tweet explaining the situation. I was like, because in Japan everyone's saying like, yo, these guys are just doing illegal stuff. Of course they should get banned or whatever. So I made a tweet saying like uh kind of to clarify the situation. I was just like, yeah, so there's actually a lot of history where they've been doing this for years and years and years. I didn't even say if it's a positive or negative thing. I just like explained like a bit more history. And then I got so many negative comments just for saying that.
Oh
So
my
and that
goodness.
was yeah, that was based on like free melee and like having UCF at I can't remember like one of the mods at the tournament. So I think yeah, as I mentioned before, the attitude before like towards like modding melee is like much more stricter compared to other games. Especially the easy one I can compare is Pokemon, but
Yeah,
that's yeah, that's what I
I
think.
don't understand. Is like Melee supposed to be the sacred do not touch game? In I don't know. This is interesting to me that there's like sort of a line being drawn on the sand of like you can do this stuff with other games
Yeah, yeah,
like Pokemon, but don't you dare
yeah,
touch Melee. Don't give it good netcode. And what has to happen in order for a game made in 2001, which never had netcode in the first place, in order for that to happen, somebody has to do the thing and score the points. So shout out to Fizzy and the Project Slippy team,
yeah,
but it helps to it does so many good things. Like I know that in some ways, depending on the country that you're in North America, it's like it stands on like that kind of gray area ground sort of thing where yeah, the modification of the games is allowed, but you're not allowed to distribute it. Like that's basically the snapshot of what North America, what the US copyright stuff is like for
yeah,
modding games, but you can't deny like when you look at it without the lens of corporate for-profit shenanigans of how awesome it is because it allows the game to live on. And a lot of people like I just get this sense people who like to say, well, you're even if they're not selling the game anymore, they're not selling Melee anymore, it might hurt sales for like current stuff. Like you're going to encourage them if they get Melee, through the deep dark web, then they're gonna do that for the latest and greatest releases on the Switch and whatever. And I don't get that impression a lot. Like I feel like a lot of people just still love buying current Nintendo stuff and they love Melee, or they might like Melee, whatever, but they're just like super fast to like go out and buy the latest Pokemon or Animal Crossing or Mario stuff, whatever.
yeah. It's like it's very weird. I guess it's because like there is no like melee culture in Japan. Like I feel like abroad, especially in America, like melee, it's not just the melee community, it's like the gaming community as well. Like a lot of the gamers, like just like even like different genres, they kind of know about melee and like how big it is. But in Japan, it's like it's very little. So there's no like forgiveness or like like trying to there's no leeway between like they're just saying like it's illegal, so don't. They're like dame. So yeah, yeah, and I kind of going back to the point before is like I do feel like they have like Smash and Sakurai, at least on how it seems like on Twitter, as like this like god figure. So like it shouldn't be messed with. Like everything they do is correct. So like like even if you make like a critical comment on like one of their things, like saying like, oh, I don't think this was a good thing to implement. I feel like it gets quite a lot of hate actually. Like even simple things like that.
Yeah, and
So
so for you, do you think that based on what you know, you live in Japan, so I'm not gonna like paint you to be like an expert of all things Japanese culture, but is it just like the nostalgia? You know what I mean? A lot of people in the U.S. like they hold stuff on forever. I mean, it doesn't even have to be video games. You can go to somebody's house in the U.S. and you will find something that's like 50 years old. And why did the person keep it? And they're like, well, I like it. It's just like nostalgia is like a real heavy thing, and it kind of is part of the reason why they just keep bringing back these movies again and again. Oh wow, this movie is new. Well, actually, it's technically like the third remake. There was one in the '80s and there was one back in the '50s. Like The Mummy is one of my favorite movies, 1999, Brendan Fraser. But that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the second or third version of the Mummy that Hollywood has made, like this similar story. So, do you think that there's not as much of that nostalgia trip in Japanese culture? Because I feel like there ought to be at least some, but maybe not for Melee.
It's hard. I always feel like, so you know how like Nintendo or like kind of like big publishers sometimes they always post on Twitter like, oh, this is the 20th anniversary of this game,
Yeah.
or yeah. So I feel like those get a lot of comments. Like some positive comments actually, like, oh, this is so nostalgic. In Japanese, we say natsukashi. So like, this is so natsukashi. They always say it. So I feel like there is nostalgia. Like even when the melee, I remember recently they made like a melee tweet and stuff, but I feel like there were
Oh
quite a few
yeah.
people commenting. I feel like there were quite a few people commenting on it, but I don't know. I feel like it's just like irrational, like must protect Sakurai and Smash, because if there is like, okay, let's just say like there's a theory saying like, okay, because it's a nostalgic game, like we have to keep melee as it is, then why is like modding like Pokemon like chill, like there's no like good explanation, so it's just like an irrational like protective mindset towards Smash, I guess.
So I think that one thing that comes across is like the trickle down effect. You know how Sakurai, and he said this, I think at least one time per each Smash game, the respect and reverence that he has for the material that he's given, the characters from different games, from different developers, even in making Melee, the HAL Laboratories, according to the Elevated documentary, the David V. Kimball, shout out to David V. Kimball, the Elevated documentary about the development of Melee.
Hmm.
Basically, HAL Laboratories was in another building with a bunch of other developers for Nintendo games. So he would literally like take things that he was seeing and trying to bring up to other publishers, developers of these other Nintendo games and saying, "Hey, does this like pay the proper tribute to? Does this like strike the right tone? Does this make sense for this
Mm-mm-mm.
character to do this, that, or the third?" And they still let Pikachu have Skull Bash, even though technically he couldn't in the latest game right before Melee release. That's okay.
Mm-mm.
That is neither here nor there. Just want to note
Yeah.
that. Okay, but the point being that he cares so much about treating the material respectfully, it almost sort of trickles to the people who know who Sakurai is, the things that he said, and he's very forward facing, like public facing to the community. He's the one who announces the newest DLC characters, will show you the gameplay, and I don't really know, like, I do not know a single Pokemon developer person. I could not point them out. I don't know their names. I don't even care. But like, I think that part of all of this, the respect for Masahiro Sakurai, the rest of the development team for Smash, is that you know the face, you know the name, and you've seen him in a video at least one time before, because we all are suckers for watching reveal trailers and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
that might be
of course.
part of it. I mean, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, like, definitely, like, he's always on, like, I guess people know like how much effort goes to kind of implement a new character, and then like because he does I think he has like a magazine page in like in Japanese as well, like
The
I don't
Famitsu
read it.
page?
Yeah, maybe it's that one. I don't read it, but I guess he has more opportunities to kind of like talk about what goes on in Smash, especially in Japan, because like I don't think everything he says, every single thing he says gets translated into English for like English people to see. But I guess more people in Japan are exposed to like kind of the process behind the game. So maybe perhaps that's a thing. But for me it's also interesting, like in one of his old school interviews. Like I remember it's in one of the documentaries too, actually. But he was saying like he doesn't really want kind of melee to be played at like a super competitive level. Like he was like at heart it's a it's a party fun game. So I
Party
guess
game.
I guess that that philosophy or like that how he thinks like that way of thinking is like very strong within the company as well. So yeah,
It does
unfortunate.
defy the odds because yes, in every sense, Melee is a party game. Nobody's denying that because Melee is a super fun game to play. You invite over the homies, you put items on, you play on temple. It is such a blast. It's also just somehow mysteriously the a beautiful accident side of things where it can be the most eye-grabbing and compelling competitive game that you can possibly watch because it's so cool. So I know that yes, party game, that's all fine and well, but it also can at the same time. It's not like it's one or the other. To me, it's both.
Yeah, that message has not translated to the Japanese people at all. So yeah,
Well,
I feel like there's like so I remember like kind of we've given up like recently, but like until like 3 or 4 years ago, everyone was like hoping like there might be like a some like Nintendo support or like some Melee port. But I feel like the goal everyone's kind of like trying to like talk to like Nintendo America. I guess they did have something with Panda Global just recently, but I
yeah,
feel like the the goal to like make Melee like to have like a very positive relationship to reach that goal is like there's no point like kind of talking to like the American like Nintendo audience. You have to like convince like the Japanese Nintendo and like the Japanese people in a way. Like you have to change like Japanese culture, and I don't think that's gonna happen. So
it's not going to happen in one day or maybe even in 1 year. But thanks to AMSA, Deft, and
in game,
INGEN,
yeah,
we have three players from the East Asia realm of the region of the world going to the Smash World Tour Finals, and it's going to be sweet. And AMSA
yep,
also got invited to Summit 12, if I'm thinking about this correctly. So that just means that there's going to continue to be like people who represent that region, represent Japan in a very public facing. Like it's always cool, especially for AMSA. I mean, it's such a well known player. Recently
yeah.
ranked top 20 in the top 20 all time for wait whoa, oh no, am I thinking about this wrong? No, he's got to be top 20, or was
He
he
was
top
like
30?
26. Right? I think he was like 20. He was like
21,
26.
22?
I
Oh no, I forgot already.
think 21.
Oh, 21?
But I don't. Yeah, I have it's 26 or 21. It's like either. I can't remember. I'm like quickly checking. Okay, it's one of those. Yeah, whatever. All right, one of those. 21, 21. It was 21.
Okay. I've looked at too many of the articles of like 80 to 70 to 60. Okay. It's really cool. And if there continues to be that sort of like, hey, we still love playing Melee. It's awesome. It's really cool. Yes, maybe eventually everybody else will start to catch on in the rest of the world, in Japan especially, because that's like you said, and a lot of people in the U.S. they kind of like say Nintendo America doesn't seem to be as much of a problem as Nintendo Japan seems to be. Like, hey, competition, no thank you. And so Nintendo America is naturally going to go, yep, you got it, boss. I mean, that is
Yeah,
ultimately where that's the top of the pyramid.
definitely. And like kind of talking about like who's going to
Yes, please.
the finals. But I for me I feel like there'll be like a bigger effect if like Ingen does good because he just started playing and like
Oh,
like
really?
oh yeah, yeah, he just started playing. He just like he said like 2020 August or something.
He's been playing for barely 14, 15 months?
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. And like he's like already beating everyone. So I feel like
Oh, let's
if he
go.
does good, yeah, if he does good or if he wins, like that's an article for like news people can write, right? Like
That's somebody I can talk
because
to.
everyone
No,
already
I'm not going
knows
to be able
like
to talk
Amsa's
to him
very good.
again Because I'm assuming, or does he speak English? I'm sorry. I'm already trying
No.
to use you as a resource. I am here to talk to you, Mr. SuiSui. I promise. But that's really cool. And then what's
Yeah.
the story? What's the story with Deft? Because I don't think I've heard that name before either.
So Dev, to be honest, I have no idea. So he wasn't playing, or like, I don't know if he was playing before Corona. So I'm not sure if he came um during Corona or. So I don't even know like how Watch knew he was here and like how Watch knew he was good. But I guess Watch does his research. Like,
Yeah,
I guess it paid off.
second place in the
Um,
bracket.
yeah, but apparently he like schedule wise he can't go. So I think someone's replacing him.
Okay, but
Um,
that I don't know if
yeah,
that's like official or not. So just for the sake of we can go with alleged because I'm looking at it on Wikipedia and there's Deft. So
yeah. He no, he said he's definitely not going.
oh
He
dang,
told yeah after the tournament interview, like even on stream, he was like, I asked him like, so how do you think you're gonna do at the tournament? He's like, oh yeah, I can't go. So he's not going. um, there was talks that like Falpan might go as a replacement who came fourth, but he recently tweeted like I can't go. So I don't know. I don't
dang.
know. You might have to ask Watch for. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
No, but
I'm not. Yeah.
that's the knowledge that you're bringing, and I really appreciate that. What you were able to conduct the interview at least for Deft. Then after he finished up at second place, or wait, no, third place. Excuse me.
Second. He came second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I am mixing myself up. Thank you.
It's all good.
they're both
Yeah, yeah,
they're both Marth players. I'm just like looking at
yeah.
my phone like Marth head emoji. Ah, come on. Sorry, my
You can
bad.
get confused. It's all good. Yeah. So yeah, we did a post game, um, interview after everything. The Def was just saying like, yeah, he used to. I think he used to be ranked in one of Texas, maybe some one of the states. I remember exactly, but yeah, I remember I was just like so shocked when I was like interviewing him because like Watch had like a list of things like he wanted me to ask, and the second one was like, okay, how do you think you're gonna do at the tournament? And he was just like, yeah, I can't go. So I was like, oh, okay, what do I do now? So yeah, but for me the most interesting, or I loved when I was interviewing Ingen, he was like, I was like, do you have any messages for the fans or like the people that are watching? And he was like, yeah, if you want to improve, you just gotta analyze your like understand your weaknesses and analyze your mistakes and you can be as good as me, like you can get to my level in a year. It was like a message, like it wasn't like thanks guys, it was just like
Here's how you get
it was very
better,
cool.
scrubs.
Yeah, yeah, very cool thing to say. I thought.
I would love because I mean, okay, look, I do love Amsa as like an idea as a player, and I've never met him in my life, but I'm sure he would be very nice to talk to in any capacity. So that's all fine and well. But a more of like a neutral or chaotic bad, a villain perhaps, or just someone who's gonna tell you what you're doing wrong instead of telling you what you're doing right.
Yeah,
But I mean, I do like those kind of storylines in Melee for sure. And for Smash Roll Tour, I mean, the really exciting thing is the idea that somebody like Sora, somebody from Europe, like Pipsqueak and so on, that there's going to be like all these players. Oh, and of course, I'm forgetting Central America, JCam Far, South America, Chape and HP. Like, there's just going to be so many different regions all coming together for it's a once in a year at best opportunity. This is really, to me, feels very unprecedented. Like, this has happened at very, very few instances in Melee history, that you get to have all of these cross-regional matchups, and they get to play for the players outside of North America. They get to play with North American players, the best of the best, if you will. Although I don't know about Zane and Mango being there. Doesn't seem like that. Mango in particular, excuse me, Zane is going to be there, but Mango maybe not. But there was plenty of competition. We'll just put it that
yeah.
way. Plenty of competition. That's what I'm really excited to see. Excited to see Amsa, Ingen, and whoever else from East Asia, from Japan
Yeah, yeah,
goes.
yeah.
I'm going to be excited to see how they stack up. If they're able to make upsets, start more storylines, because I do love the old stuff, the old history. I mean, the top 100 all-time list has really made me remember a lot of things and reminded me a lot of things that just make me smile and go like, yeah, That's awesome. That's Melee history. That's cool. But then
Yeah.
you never have those storylines unless you build them up, and you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, so kind of like touching upon like how like everyone's coming together. That's like for me that's really exciting because like kind of just talking from like Japan's perspective, like actually like every time besides this recent tournament, every time Amsa or enters a tournament in Japan, he loses. Like the last tournament I watched, he was like third. Like he lost to Sana and Shippu. So
Mm.
like it's always hard to gauge like how your like players in your community are like how good they are because like perhaps they can go to like one or two tournaments abroad like like a year, once every other year or whatever, but like that's a lot of like nerves and like they might not perform as well, so it's like it's hard to kind of just like imagine like how good your players are. So I feel like every region has like a similar mindset where they don't quite know exactly how good their top players are, so it's good to see like everyone combining.
Yes, and it is interesting. I think Toph might have talked about this a little bit. How Amsa would not do always fantastic against his home region, but then would go and beat Mango at Summit 11. I mean, that did happen. Mango
Yeah.
before Mango does his amazing losers run, happens to drop a game 5 set versus Amsa. Like Amsa
Yeah.
wins that set. Like that is not just like, oh yeah, Amsa, good for you. That is super cool. That is very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's the Ingen. I think he might do something. Yeah. Like like he actually on stream plays with Amsa quite a bit. And
Oh,
I,
that's
I saw
awesome.
him taking quite a few games. Like at the tournament, he didn't take any games, but he was definitely taking a lot of games on stream. So I think the next Cinderella story is gonna be him.
That would be really, really cool. And that would be
Yeah.
a great way for Smash World Tour to continue to put itself on the map because, like you were saying, Panda and Nintendo recently announced like the officially licensed not world circuit, sorry, North American circuit. And I think that's
Yeah.
where there's going to be a nice difference between Smash World Tour because the implication is the entire world and then this North American only like circuit for Panda and Nintendo. I hope that both can be a thing. There's a lot of questions since the news was only yesterday, only about 36 hours ago. This whole idea of, wow, Nintendo's actually, did they just do hashtag Smash Bros. Melee on the Nintendo of America Twitter account? This looks like a
Yeah.
screenshot. What's going on? It is like very like, what? I still have like myself like so many questions and I'm just waiting for more info to come out. But for Smash World Tour, I do hope that continues to be a thing because thus far, with all of the regionals that have happened and with the World Finals coming up here in like 3-4 weeks, like we're gonna find out a lot. If we're gonna find out a lot about out of the North America regions all coming together, see who can knock off these annoying American players. Even though I love a lot of them, I'm really excited to see upsets happen because I think it wouldn't, what would be the point if there weren't some upsets? Like, come on, I want to see some shakeups. I want to see some new storylines. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good for just the Melee community in general, where if you have like people that you don't know suddenly beating, top players. Like you don't like for any community, like any competitive community, you don't really want like one player at the top for like the whole time. So it's always good to, have, people come in. I think it's also good to have like bring new play styles. Like I feel like kind of the play style like in America is like kind of it's like this like it's kind of set where like this is the best, like a lot of crouch canceling for example, but like for
Mm.
perhaps like Japan's play style, like Central America's play style, they can bring something different to the table, and like perhaps it might counter American play styles, or it might get countered, but you never know. It's always it's not, I don't feel like it's just the players, it's also just like their play styles as well. It's going to be fun to see.
And it's gonna be super awesome to watch. So I hope that it says everything that we're kind of building it up to be. It happens here in the middle of December on the VGBC Twitch channel. So don't worry, you'll hear about it when it goes up. So for you, now that you've helped to run the East Asia regional finals for the Smash Roll Tour, that happened
Yep.
already, and now what? I mean, what's next for you? When are we doing some melee? I mean, watch, come on. Like, is that where you're at, or are you perfectly content to continue doing your thing, running the YouTube channel?
Yeah. So I kind of I don't think I'm not gonna be like competitive in melee for a little bit actually. I feel like so recently my like NES controller broke actually, so I'm like
Oh,
that's
no.
kind of like another factor, but
No,
yeah,
that's
I
a
just
big
feel
factor.
yeah, like and I play Falco too, so yeah, so yeah, I don't think I'll be playing too competitive. Like the break kind of had that effect where I have been playing competitive for such a long time. I'll definitely be like commentating and stuff, and that's always fun. And especially like if I can do my part, because like there's not many like English commentators that can like stream it to the rest of the world, and that's definitely something that the community needs. Because I feel like the community like the Japanese community makes like no melee content at all. I think that's one of the problems actually, like why it's not popular. Like I complained quite a few times that I've made my own videos like a few times, but no one else does this, so I kind of gave up actually. So
Oh, well, I'll have to see if I can find those. I know what your YouTube channel is,
yeah,
youtube.com/c/slash Mr.SuiSui. Links in the description
hell
below.
yeah. So yeah, definitely. I think what I'm gonna be focused on is like yeah, melee commentary for tournaments and also like my YouTube channel. So it's all Japanese channel. So if you want to test your Japanese skills, go check it out. But
There
yeah, that's
are
gonna be
there are people who, I mean, just you just pick up on a language if you hear it enough. I mean, I know what nani means. I
yeah.
haven't watched enough anime to know too much more after that, but that is actually a real thing. I feel like you just if you watch enough of a language or hear enough of a language, it'll start to stick even if you're not necessarily doing it for learning. You just love watching anime or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And,
Um.
and
Yeah.
so
So definitely.
why are you over there in Japan? I mean, is it like the whole teaching English thing that Ekins is doing, or what's the story for you?
So actually, I was born in the UK, but right after that, I came to Japan actually.
Okay.
But so and so I've been living in Japan like the rest of my life, to be honest. But the reason why I can speak English and why like I don't have a British accent is because I went to an international school, which is like it's like an all English school, and then like a lot of the teachers there are like American, so I don't have a like I guess I have like a American more of an American accent now.
It does sound like you have an American accent. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
I have like no British accent. I do say like rubbish bin. Like Ekans always gets like, why do you say rubbish like all the time? Like, and I say like mate sometimes. Like thanks mate. Those kind of stuff. But I say in like American accent.
Yeah, that doesn't.
So very yeah, it's very
Intuitively,
confusing.
something feels wrong to me. I mean, you got to do you, but yeah, that is. I feel sorry for you that you have to explain yourself. It sounds like you have to explain yourself to Atkins one too many times. Like, come on, dude, I've told you this already.
They just get confused. They have to remember that I'm actually British sometimes. But it's all fun. It's all fun.
So then, have you
Yeah.
ever been to the United States?
I've been to Canada. So I went to UBC for like a semester,
Oh,
and I
shout out
quit.
CBC. Dare will be happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't playing Melee with them. I wish I was, but yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
went there for a semester and came back to Japan for uni. But yeah, not no America yet. No America yet.
Is there a place that you would actually be interested in going to America, or is like enough of the culture has seeped its way over the internet to you? You're like, I think I might be good.
Um, I would definitely want to visit. I like the one of the big cities. Definitely want to try out. I've been watching a lot of poker YouTube videos recently, so definitely want to go to Vegas and stuff. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
Vegas. Mm-hmm.
And I definitely want to try go to like a melee tournament. But I think it would be cool. It'd be cool if like Smash World Tour or whatever anything in the future kind of brings like an international commentary team as
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah, 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 yeah,
not
yeah.
just like an American. Cause yo, I'm that's what I want. I don't think I would want to go as a player because like I feel like if I would to go as a player, like I need to be like invested in practicing like I was before, but I'm not doing that anymore. So
Content.
yeah,
That's what you could
more
do.
commentary. Yeah. We can have I'll mix him some Japanese. I always mix him nani during my commentary. Have a few Japanese lingual here and there.
I asked Ekins to say, "Yo, did he just walk up slowly and down smash in Japanese at the end of our recording?" He's like, okay." Like I was like, "Could you please say it, please? I'm not asking you to perform. I just want to hear it so bad." But I could tell he was like, "I always have to do this."
In Japanese, it would be like, あいつ今ゆっくり歩いてって下スマしたのか? That's something like that, I would say.
It doesn't always quite come across in the same way. Like Scar just does it best. Like, would you like? Is that something that, aside from the fact that you'd be very interested in traveling over for doing commentary for Smash World Tour in let's say like the one that's going to be held in Orlando, Florida, they have enough stuff going on. I'm sure there'd be something that would catch your attention there. It's very beautiful weather at the very least. That
Yeah.
if you were to come over and you had this like out of nowhere iconic call, would that be like something that you would take immense pride in, have it in your Twitter bio or like the banner, the thing? Or is it just like, I just want to have the traveling experience and be able to talk about Melee as compared to having to study, practice, and then go under pressure of performing and playing and placing well in bracket?
Um, yeah, I guess for me, like, if I did ever get the chance, I think like it's something that in a region where it's not too popular, you should be bragging about it in a way. Like you should be trying to promote it as much as possible. Like whether you're going as a player or a commentator, I think like as like a top player, you or especially if you're like kind of AMSA level, if you're a professional player, like you have the obligation to try and like spread the word as much as possible. So like if I ever were to travel as a commentator, I would definitely try my best to like make videos about it and like tweet about it, everything I can do to um you know yeah, spread the word. And I don't think I would want to like I don't have like the will to like want to go just as a vacation. I think like more like some kind of mission behind it that is like
Yes, yes, I
would be the
love
big
that.
motivator. I feel like
No, that's where I am. Like, I'm going to use this whole podcasting thing and Melee thing as my driver behind, like, actually getting somewhere. I have traveled, for the record, but I am more of a homely person, so I like being home a lot. It's just that I would love to see places like Vancouver. I would love to see places like the Pacific Ocean in California or somewhere
yeah.
along the West Coast. I mean, Oregon or Seattle, Washington State. I mean, that'll work. I could make do. And so, and actually get outside of the United States. I've never been outside of the United States ever. Never been outside of this
Same.
out of this country. So that would be amazing to do all those kinds of things. And Melee is the mission. So for you, Smash being the mission as well, that'd be super cool. If you ever come over, yes, all the content, document yourself doing that. That'd be super cool. It'd be super cool to hear you on commentary in a time zone
Yeah.
that I am not asleep in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Everyone's sleeping when we do it in Japan, so it's it's interesting. But
It is, that is part of the challenge. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of different things that you kind of have like cooking the back burner for now. But it's the YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Mr.SuiSui. Where else can the people find you?
on Twitter, I think it's just Twitter at Mr. SuiSui. Yeah, no dot between the R and the S though for Twitter and YouTube. Yeah, and on Instagram as well. I think if you type in Mr. SuiSui, it should come up. I'm like semi-active there. Not too active, semi-active, but mostly Twitter and YouTube
Mm-hmm.
is where you'll see me. The ultimate goal is like get super popular on YouTube, like 1 million subs, then push the Melee content to the unknowing Japanese viewers. That's where I'm heading now. I gave up on like starting, just a Melee channel. You gotta get an audience first and push the Melee from there.
I mean, why did Ludwig get to be such a popular streamer, not streaming Melee all the time? I mean, variety streams, getting into a little bit of content wars and drama, a little bit of that, a little bit of the and well planned content as well. So hopefully
Yeah.
you're able to do all the things that you need to do in order to, yes, garner an audience in, trick somebody like like somebody like T or Mr. T. Something, there's a Pac-Man player I think named
I
T.
think it's T.
Yes,
I think it's T.
but why am I forgetting the other player who plays as Rob, Wolf, and Aegis in Ultimate. I could Zachary. Oh my gosh, you could get
Oh yeah,
trick
Zachary.
Zachary
I
into
played Pokemon Unite with him quite a few times actually.
yeah, trick him into playing melee one of these times. That's what I'm saying.
I I played melee with him. I played melee
Oh,
with
that's
him
cool.
before.
That's really
I
cool.
played with him melee like quite a few times actually. Like before Ultimate came out, he was going to Smash 4 tournaments, and at that Smash 4 tournament there was also a melee setup, so we would bring him over. He's so good at melee actually. Like he said he's only played like twice, and then we had a tournament once and he entered and he beat the amateur. He won the amateur bracket. So
Yeah.
he didn't go through the pro bracket, but he beat everyone else.
Yeah,
He's really
no,
good.
that sounds like Spargo because Spargo has played at a few of Mewtwo King's like online tournaments and has done very well. Who does Zachary
Oh
play
really?
in melee?
Zachary, before he used to play Falco.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He has like no tech skill, but he just wins.
But
Like
that's because he knows Smash. Like it does translate.
yeah.
Maybe you don't know how to L cancel and time your jump squat shine cancel this that and the third. Maybe you don't know that, but you know the game. You got the
Yeah,
fundies.
yeah, and he's also very good at Pokemon Unite. So he's just like a true gamer.
True gamer. No, it'd be really cool to see. I mean, I'm assuming, gosh, it'd be so weird if Zachary didn't go to the Smash World Tour for Ultimate. So hopefully does well there. And then
Yeah.
for you as well, Mr. Sui, for your time, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for talking with me about all
No
things
worries.
Smash, and for coming on with me the podcast thing. See, I'm still not really great at this yet. I've done over 100 episodes. Thanks for coming on with me for Bottom of the Smash
It's all
Mountain.
good. Yeah, it was really fun being here, and time flies. It was really fun actually.
Okay, I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.